Hi, my loves. Welcome back. I want to talk about something really serious today and to be very transparent with you guys. I've definitely found myself or have been in relationships where I definitely want to put myself last, but I was doing a lot of things that were not normal, that wasn't healthy for my mentality, from me, myself, my relationship in general, and my relationships around me. And now that I'm on the other side looking in, or the outside looking in, and now that I'm in a much healthier space, a healthier relationship, I can speak on those embarrassing moments and the things that I used to do in my past relationships. And so I just want to share with you guys some of the things that I'm no longer doing in my relationship now that I am in a healthy relationship. And if you are someone who is in that situation where I was in my past and putting yourself last constantly, and you just feel yourself just always just downing yourself and just feeling unhealthy and unsure, this may actually really help you, because this is a lesson learned for me. If you are someone who's looking for love, or someone that's like very happy in their relationship, I'm just sharing some insight, lessons learned. So I do hope that this helps you as well. So, some of the things that I'm no longer doing in my relationship is that I'm no longer feeding into insecurities. And I know that this sounds so cliche, but back in the day, I used to really feed into insecurities. And I'm not sure about you, but when I was in a relationship, whenever I found myself in a relationship or crushing on somebody, insecurities will definitely come in and try to tear me apart, separate me, and kind of get me off balance a little bit. And I'm always a fan of protecting like my mentality and my emotions. But how can I do that when I'm always doubting myself, when I'm always comparing myself to others, and when I'm always just downing, like I'm just not seeing myself for the beautiful person I am from the inside out. And therefore, when I'm in a relationship, I'm not truly giving the best version of myself. I'm not present. I'm constantly looking at something else or someone else. And for one, if you are in a relationship where that person or you feel the need to compare yourself, you may want to rethink that for sure. And that's something I definitely had to do with myself. You should not be comparing yourself to others all the time, to other women, like especially physically, mentally, emotionally. But that's definitely one thing that I'm definitely working on currently in this relationship. Not feeding into insecurities. I can acknowledge, because I am human, I can acknowledge that they're still there. However, I'm not going to feed into it. I'm going to combat that, and I make sure now that I feed my thoughts and my emotions with more positive, healthier thoughts, healthier mindsets. And if there is something that I feel like I am lacking, I work on that. I go to the gym, I eat healthier, I take care of my skin, I work on my spiritual being, my mindset, whatever it is. But I am no longer playing victim and feeding into those insecurities, and we all deal with that. But that's something that I had to overcome, and I know you can too as well. Something else that I'm no longer doing in my relationship is that I'm no longer pulling from my past, and the past gotta go, because it's no longer an excuse. And this is something that I had no idea I was doing until I was on the outside. And if you just jump into a relationship when you're not truly healed or haven't really spent time alone by yourself, then you're just constantly going to keep pulling from the past because you're not healed. You're constantly living in the past. And now that I've kind of done all of that, I did my dues, I walked through the fire, and I'm in a much healthier relationship, but I've healed before I entered into this relationship. I'm making sure that I'm no longer pulling from that past, pulling from that version of Brooke. And mind you, a lot of things I don't learn about until I am in a relationship. Like, hey, I struggle with this. Or sometimes my emotions are triggered by this. And so, of course, there's some things that you don't know until you're like in the thick of it. However, I had to give myself grace. I had to love myself more than that and believe, trust, and understand that I came such a long way. So I'm no longer going to measure myself from the past All that I'm concerned is that me, myself, my relationship, my partner, they're going to get the best version of me. And if there are some things in the past, fires that need to be put out, communicate. I'm going to make sure I communicate that, but I'm not going to replay these moments in the past. I'll communicate them with my partner and say, hey, this happened in the past. I do not want this to be relevant in our relationship. How can we overcome this? Or let's overcome this. Let's conquer this. And that's what a team is. That's what a healthy relationship is. The next thing that I'm no longer doing in my relationship, and I love this one, is that I'm no longer waiting to live. And this is a huge one for me. I love that saying, like, the thought of like, it didn't really happen unless it happened on social media. The same thing with relationships, especially when you put a man or a relationship above your own happiness, or you're centered around that relationship. You're waiting for that partner, that spouse to see in order for it to kind of exist. Like, you're waiting to spend time with them, you're waiting to do certain things with them, instead of just pouring into your own grass, like pouring into yourself, doing the things that you want to do, and really spending time with yourself, being alone, or spending time with your loved ones and your friends, but not waiting to live. So during the weekday, when I'm not with my partner, I'm not being lazy. I'm not holding back on the things that I want to do. I'm not just staying inside all day. I'm doing things that pour into me and that makes me happy. And I'm living life. I am alive. I am present. And that way, when I'm with my partner, when I'm with my significant other, I have so much more to give them than that burden of like my happiness, that burden of like the freedom to live. I give myself permission to live. And in my past relationships, I used to wait. I used to wait for my partner to see, to kind of validate that I'm fun. I like to have fun, or I'm spontaneous, whatever it is, or I'm this confident person, this confident woman. But a confident, beautiful woman is someone who can go out and live life when no one's looking. And that's something I'm prioritizing in this relationship. Another thing that I'm no longer doing, this one, is to protect my relationship. And I did a poor job of this back in the past, but I'm no longer sharing too much or putting myself in places that causes these insecurities, or that's giving me just bad advice, or where people are just reflecting from their past relationships. So I've learned that in a healthy relationship, you have to be very, very protective and selective on who you allow into the relationship. And that's very few people for me. And I'm very careful who I get advice from. I'm very protective over this peace in this space. And back in the day, I used to get advice from so many people. It used to stretch me so thin to where I wasn't being authentic to myself. And that is not healthy. How can I give myself, my relationship, the best version if it's not truly who I am? I'm pulling from other people's advice, their reflections in their past. No, this relationship, I'm being protective over who I allow into it and who I allow to pour into this relationship. So that's a big one for me. Now, this last one is very, 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 very important for me. Something that I'm no longer doing in my relationship is that I'm no longer hiding myself and who I am. And I realized that in the past, I used to hide who I truly was. I wasn't authentically myself. I was not sharing the best versions of myself. I was embarrassed or afraid. And unfortunately, when you're not in the right relationships and you're trying to be someone you're not, it shows, and it doesn't help the relationship. But if anything, it's more draining to yourself than anyone else. It wasn't until I had confidence, or learned to have confidence in who I was, who I am, and embrace all those sides of me, that I was able to actually pour that into a relationship and be myself and be this confident person that I am. But the number one thing is that I'm not hiding who I am. I laugh at the things I want to laugh at. I do the things that I want to do. I just show this person who I am fully. And it's just such a beautiful thing having somebody love you for you. Every bit of you, every bit of yourself. Even the moments when I am insecure, the moments where I am afraid, the moments where I am not feeling as confident as normal, the highs and the lows. It's just beautiful having somebody to see all those sides of me and still choose me and still love me. And I can say from the other side of like those past relationships, it is the most beautiful thing, not just for the relationship, but for myself, for yourself. It's the best thing that you can do. And so I'm no longer hiding. I am authentically me. I'm authentically myself. And we're basically friends at this point. Like, the romance and everything is there, but we're friends. Like, we're best friends because he sees me for who I am. So I just wanted to share that, things that I'm no longer doing in a relationship. I hope that this helped you, and I do hope, I know that you will find that love that you are looking for. But it starts with the inside first, and not normalizing some of these unhealthy habits that I used to have. So hopefully you learn from my mistakes, and I hope it pours into you some type of way. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you I'll talk to you guys soon. All right. I love you.